Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. This is the regular business meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. I'm Chair Claire Hall. Commissioner Walter Chuck is here with me in the Board of Commissioners conference room, and Commissioner Miller is joining us remotely. Good morning, Commissioner Miller. Just wanted to make sure you were online. All right.
Tried the sound check a while ago. I don't think he was right there then.
Okay.
Commissioner Miller.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
We hear you. Thanks.
Oh, good. Okay,
Thank
you can hear me. All right.
All right. We move on to recognition of service. At the first meeting of every month, traditionally, we recognize county employees for service milestones, 5 years and beyond. We've got two folks today. Dion Blake, 5 years of service with the Sheriff's Office, Patrol Division. Is D? Oh, yeah. Commissioner Chuck will play the role of Vanna White today, presenting the certificates and pins. Josefina Albino tomorrow, 15 years primary care with HHS. And Mr. Lip, would you like to capture a photo?
Yeah, I said it.
That's it for anniversaries. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. One more. Yeah, I mentioned, and
You want it?
and now we have recognition of our new employees, and we've got a lot of folks coming on board this month. Let's find out who they are and welcome them.
Good morning. My name is Cody Larson. I'm the Recruiting and Compensation Specialist for the county. I have several new hires to introduce, and then I have a couple of folks that'll introduce themselves. Coming on this last month, we have Corey Adams, Developmental and Disability Service Coordinator, Amber Adkins, Senior Deputy Clerk, Joshua Dubois, a Seasonal Parks Maintenance, Keezy Freed, another Seasonal Parks Maintenance, Cody Froman, Transit Driver, Timmy Iddings, Psychiatric Nurse Practitioner, Jessica Kropf, Support Services Specialist, Sam Kiger, Animal Care Specialist, Eric Watrous, Transit Driver, and Thomas Whiting, Roads Maintenance Worker. And then I'll let the others introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello again.
I'm assuming I'm supposed to come over to this microphone.
That's right. And tell us who you are and what your position is. And
My name is Alexandra Valor. I am the limited duration administrative assistant for the IT department. I'm kind of taking over a lot of Sarah's responsibilities while she's out.
great. And I believe, do we have one other? Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I should have mentioned. Yeah. Yeah. We do the lineup. Think of it as a lineup, but none of the usual markings.
All right. My name is Gary Ward. Just came on board as a new deputy with the jail. I came here from Coos County and just happy to be here. It's been a great experience so far.
Great. All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Hey.
My name's Amara Elbrader, and I've been working in the part-time victims assistant position for 6 or 7 months now, I think. And I just recently went to that full-time victims advocate position.
Great. Congratulations and welcome. Mr. Lip, you'll do the honors. Thank you. I believe that Commissioner Chuck is going to present our next item, recognition of the Waldport High School Forestry Team's 6th consecutive state championship.
Thank you, Chair. This on? Thank you, Chair. When I first took my position, I was invited to the Oregon Small Woodland Association seedling sale, and I met two of the Waldport High School students, Parker and Jasmine. They invited me to come view their competition. I attended and was really impressed with their effort, skills, and the teamwork of their team and how successful they were. I was able to attend the last part of the state championship in Brooks. And I just want to, I'll read this letter off, but I just want to acknowledge their accomplishments over the last 6 years and thank them for representing the county so well and our appreciation to keeping natural resources as a focus for opportunities for the youth in Lincoln County. So, to Waldport High School Forestry Team, it is with great pride and admiration that I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the Waldport High School Forestry Team for securing your sixth consecutive state championship and the future Natural Resource Leader Forestry Competition. This great achievement is a testament to your dedication, discipline, and deep commitment to your program. Competing across 21 events, including prepared speech, job interview, first aid, cable splicing, choker set, hose lay, map and compass navigation, and tree and plant identification, you have demonstrated not only technical skill, but also teamwork, problem solving, and perseverance. Through this experience, you have gained invaluable career-specific skills in natural resources, built strong life and leadership skills, and forged a spirit of camaraderie and mutual respect that will serve you well throughout your lives. Your program's continued excellence is evident through your multiple recognitions, including being named Future Natural Resource Leader Program of the Year in both 2021 and 2024. Furthermore, I commend Mr. Jeff Skirvin for being honored as the 2022 Educator of the Year for the same program, a clear reflection of his outstanding leadership and mentorship. On behalf of Lincoln County, I thank you for representing your school, community, and state with such integrity and enthusiasm. Your success not only brings, brings honor and recognition to your program, but also inspires other young people to explore careers in natural resource and environmental stewardship. Congratulations again. This is an incredible accomplishment.
That's great. Next up, we have Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation, and could I ask our presenters to come forward and get settled in while I read that proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and addressing the complex mental health needs of children, youth, adults, and families today is fundamental to the future of Lincoln County. And whereas mental illnesses are real and prevalent in Lincoln County, and half of us will have a mental health diagnosis at some point in our lives. And whereas the need for comprehensive, coordinated mental health services for children, youth, adults, and families places upon our community a critical responsibility. And whereas engaging in prevention, early identification, and early intervention are effective ways to reduce the burden of mental illnesses, as well as to reduce the burden of other chronic conditions. And whereas Lincoln County Behavioral Health Division and the Mental Health Promotion Team of the Public Health Division, through its unique approach to prevention and serving children, youth, and adults and families with mental health, is effectively caring for the mental health needs in our community. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen has a responsibility to promote mental health and well-being for all. And whereas Mental Health Awareness Month inspires millions of Americans to raise awareness, build resiliency, reduce stigma, and find hope, now, therefore, we, the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May 2025 to be Lincoln County's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we call upon all citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions to assist in decreasing social stigma surrounding mental health and supports, recommit to increasing awareness of mental health, protect their mental health, and understand the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health challenges. Wow, that's a lot, but it's important. Now, the two of you get to talk. First off, introducing yourselves, please.
Hi there, I'm Jessie Noble. I'm the Mental Health Promotion Specialist for Lincoln County and also the Regional Overdose Prevention Coordinator for Len, Benton, and Lincoln counties.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Hurd. I am our Health Promotion Program Manager in Lincoln County Public Health Division of Health and Human Services. One of the things coming today is on behalf of the county and looking at mental health awareness is our continuum of care throughout Lincoln County Health and Human Services, from population level interventions of just training community members to know how to respond, look for signs and symptoms, take care of themselves, to getting into identifying those at risk and providing education and resources, to having our behavioral health division available to provide services to our at-risk youth and adults, those who have chronic mental health conditions that are diagnosable, providing those services to some of our highest needs youth who need additional levels of support through providing crisis intervention, to wraparound care services, help keep them in their community as best as we can. So we know that between public health and behavioral health, that we are looking at that continuum of care from the community level down to the individual. And I'll let Jessie tell just a little bit about some of the work that she coordinates through mental health promotion.
So my work takes place both here in Lincoln County as well as in a regional capacity in both parts of my job. I currently sit on the Len, Benton, and Lincoln Suicide Prevention Coalition. It's a wonderful initiative where we get to partner with folks from school districts, Samaritan, other public health organizations, and really come together to identify solutions, especially with a proactive view. What's wonderful is that right now our numbers show us that we are not seeing increases in suicidality in either youth or adult situations. That's great. That means that we can be more proactive. I think we all recognize that proactivity is worth a lot more than reactivity. And while we do have the mechanisms for reaction, how wonderful is it that we're in a position in our community and regionally where we can be more proactive and we can focus on these preliminary interventions before things move too far downstream. So part of my role is to coordinate things like QPR, question, persuade, refer trainings for the community, to help organize things like, the mental health first aid that Sarah was so kind to put on for so many people, and to help coordinate that with our community partners. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here today and speak a little bit about what I do, and also to highlight the work of all of our community partners and the organizations that work, again, in this continuum of care that Sarah mentioned.
Commissioner Check, questions or comments for our presenters?
No, I'd just like to thank the hard work that you folks do and the services you provide to the county.
Could I ask you to talk a bit about stigma and what kind of headway we're making on, I don't know, combating stigma that I know for so many years, mental illness, mental health just wasn't talked about, that
Yeah.
somehow people assumed there was something shameful, a character defect, when that's so far from reality.
Yeah, I think social norms are continuing to shift over time. Reducing stigma is a long and layered approach, and having the conversations, having those community conversations are critical, and continuing to have them. One of by providing the services, by doing the community outreach and engagement, by talking with folks, but also by sharing information within a family unit. So if one person can gain a better understanding of how stigma puts people at additional risk for negative health outcomes, we can spread that within our own personal circles, through our families, through our social networks. But it really just takes something at all levels. So today, doing a proclamation acknowledging the importance of continuing to have these conversations. We know that there are populations that are at higher risk for negative health outcomes. People with lower socioeconomic status, people who are people of color, our indigenous populations, our Native Americans and Alaskan Natives, LGBTQIA2S+, people with disabilities. All of these communities are at greater risk for negative health outcomes around mental health and suicidality. We know that when we can reduce stigma by having the conversations for accepting people who they are and where they are, listening non-judgmentally, recognizing early signs, increasing protective factors, because we know that there's risk factors that are associated across our lifespan. So the greater that we can increase the protective factors for caring for ourselves and caring for others, acknowledging that one caring person can make all the difference for a child, having coaches and book clubs and self-help books and the arts community, like there's so many things that we can do. And the more we talk about the health benefits and the more we talk about the improvements that we can care for ourselves and others, reducing that stigma is critically important so that people can feel safe to share that they need help or to seek help or to connect with help. And I do see in our community that we have made changes over time, and it's no time right now to stop. So we need to continue to have these conversations and continue to support each other.
Agreed. I
Shine
think
a
the
light.
fact that we have a mental health month speaks volumes to the fact that we are illuminating the need for these conversations. And I think, as Sarah spoke to, there are specific populations that are at higher risk. In our community, for example, folks engaged in agricultural work in the fishing community are at very high risk of suicidality, of depression, of serious mental illness. We are so lucky that we live in a community that also has campaigns that specifically target these populations. We can partner with OSU Extension and provide resources from the Agri-Stress Hotline, from the Agri-Stress campaign that specifically speaks to folks engaged in these types of work that are very high stress that often get left behind. I think in terms of stigma, what we're looking at right now is a harm reduction approach. And harm reduction is both a practice and a philosophy. We are looking at reducing any sort of inherent harm in an otherwise harmful activity, and that might just be the stress of your workplace. So by acknowledging these little bits and pieces that can add on to be a very heavy weight for our community, we can slowly start to dissipate that stigma around reaching out for help and make it something that's just a part of your daily life. And that's something that I personally look forward to.
Great. Commissioner Miller, Mental
Yeah.
Health Month, anything you would like to offer in the way of questions, comments?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay first?
Loud and clear.
Okay, well, excellent. I'm back up at the Lincoln City Cultural Center, so I'm glad I can hear you and you can hear me. Sarah, Jesse, thank you so much for talking to us today. You know, I just want to make a comment and then a question. And my comment is around stigma, I think, and to give a shout out to everyone else out there. As my family went through family counseling earlier this year, I have to say how nervous we all were before we went into counseling. It was scary. But what we discovered with that skilled practitioner, we were all able to share where we were at, and it greatly improved our family dynamic. So to anyone else out there who's intimidated, it can really be something that can really change your life for the better, and it really helped us a lot. Thinking about access, it seems to me like whether it's public or private, can you make any comments to our community, like how early do you begin reaching out? And, you know, are there any barriers or wait times? You know, what is that situation like for folks? And what should they be thinking about, you know, when they begin to look for service providers? Thank you.
That is such a great question. And this fluctuates, probably, it certainly fluctuates annually, monthly on available providers. So I don't know what the current wait times are with the county, so my apologies for not having that information coming in. What I will say is that the process is set up in place to be able to schedule out, do a screening on the phone, schedule out an assessment, and then appointments. I think one of the benefits that came after COVID is how many telehealth providers we have and how many counseling and therapeutic providers that are offering services via remote telephone or video conferencing. So it's opened up while we still struggle within our community to have capacity within for face-to-face. What has opened up is the ability to reach out beyond our community and get that one-on-one service. So that may be talking to your doctor. It may be talking to if you have an employer with the resources to get connected with a counselor, that's a good option as well. Calling 988 if somebody is just needing to help get connected with a provider. There's multiple avenues and routes into getting that personalized help and getting set up. And then it's finding the one that you connect with.
Mhm.
And it's okay to have those kind of conversations. So, the earlier you intervene or an individual intervenes for themselves or helps somebody else get connected, early intervention is always going to have the greater outcomes. And in fact, that's also why we talk about having those self-care plans and resiliency factors so that you can help yourself come to baseline when things are struggling and build up those resiliency skills as you're seeking help. But we know that if there's a crisis, that we have that 24-hour crisis team with our behavioral health team. They're opening up soon. I don't have the dates or details, but a crisis drop-in center so that we can try to help avoid people stay out of the emergency room if it's not necessary. So I know our community is working very hard on that, but there's multiple routes, and we always need more licensed clinical social workers and therapists.
But I do want to take this opportunity to give our behavioral health and our crises crew a huge shout out. The work they do is amazing
Mhm.
and much needed in our community. And I will say, in terms of wait times of getting at least the ball rolling for clients who have reached that point of readiness, our behavioral staff has been wonderful, especially working with our unhoused populations about providing intakes over the phone,
Mhm.
allowing us to assist in the field when they reach that point of readiness so that they are right there making those plans and we can move folks into the care that they need. That is not something that you see everywhere. And that's something that we should really take a moment to reflect on because a lot of communities are lacking so much of the resources that we provide. And it's just really, really cool to know that they care enough, that they're willing to take that time to sit with the client on the phone to go through these processes so that by the time they reach that appointment, they're no longer afraid. They know what's coming down the pipeline and they're ready to engage in that care.
Great. Well, it's been a great presentation, a great dialogue, but we do need to move on. So I would like to entertain a motion for adoption of this proclamation.
I move that we proclaim May 2025 to be Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you. I'll second that motion.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's approved. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Yep.
now we move on to the consent calendar. Again, these are like reappointments, contract renewals, routine items. Is there anything either of my fellow commissioners would like to remove for individual consideration? If not, I would entertain a motion for adoption of the consent calendar as presented.
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar as presented.
Yes, I second that motion. Thank you.
All right, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is approved. No public hearing, no decision action items. We now move on to discussion information. Mr. Swinford, I'm going to ask you to go first because I think you you'll be relatively brief
Oh.
compared to our others.
I can talk
Relatively.
forever.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
I can tell stories and.
Have a seat, introduce yourself.
I'm Tom Swinford. I'm the race director of the Newport Marathon and a Newport booster. And it's been a few years since I've come to the commissioners and talked to you about the Newport Marathon and I guess express our appreciation of the support that the county gives the marathon in helping maintain the roads just before the race starts and being taking care of some of the signage and stuff that goes on, and also the permission for road closures so that a safe race can happen. So I guess the purpose today also is just to give you an update on how well the marathon is doing. This is our 26th year, and we have been able to do it consecutively. Even during COVID, we had an ad hoc marathon, and that was due to people that were coming out anyway. They flew out here. There was, I think, about 25 of them. There was somebody from Virginia and somebody from LA that actually came up on that weekend when we had canceled the race. They said, well, we're going to come up anyway. Can you give us a map? And we're going to be there. So it's been 26 consecutive years. We generally have about 1,000 plus participants, people that are coming from all over. This year, we have 6 different countries that are coming to the marathon. We have some from Kenya, some from El Salvador, somebody from Belgium. We have a contingent from Canada. And it's kind of awesome to see that. We have 35 states that are representative flying from all over the country. So the marathon is continuing in a productive way. This year, some changes have happened because of the Oregon because the OSAA has decided to put the state track meet on marathon weekend, which is always the first Saturday after Memorial Day. So they decided to put the state track meet on that weekend. And that has really put a bind because we are all volunteers. There's no paid staff. Everybody that participates in putting this marathon on are volunteers. And so with that, we have 20 some teams, high school teams that are involved. And a lot of that is some of those kids will be at the state track meet and coaches will be at the state track meet. So we've had to move it, and we've moved it to a Sunday this year. That has affected I believe it has affected the number of registrations that we've had. Generally, we have over 1,000. I think last year we had 1,025. This year we're at 881, so we're down 14%. Will we get to 1,000? It's hard to say. I'm not sure. That's yet to be seen. But that change has affected it. Let's see. The number of participants, so generally each participant brings about 2.5 people with them. So it brings in so if we have 1,000 people, it means 2,500 are coming in to support. And so that really is, it really adds a big economic boost to our community. And one of the reasons that Bruce Durkee and Debbie Durkee, who started the marathon back in 1999, decided to put it on the first weekend after Memorial Day is because it's still kind of the slack season for tourists. That has changed. We don't have to worry quite so much about filling motels or having busy restaurants and stuff nowadays, because it seems like the tourist thing is pretty ongoing. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger, and I don't know that is as, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this other than it's providing things to happen. So I don't know what else to say other than thank you. We've got all our local businesses are participating in this. We have many sponsors. We have over 100 people that are volunteering to maintain the roads and to control traffic. We have about 250 total volunteers that are participating in this. And I guess I'm open to questions.
All right, Commissioner Miller, any questions for Mr. Swinford?
Yes, yes. Good to see you, Tom. And thanks so much for all your commitment over the years on this. So, Tom, what is the way that somebody who wants to approach running a marathon? I mean, what's the lowest barrier for someone to get out there and participate in this event? I mean, do you have to be a vetted runner? Can you walk it? Like, tell us how we can get involved, even if maybe we don't think our fitness is the best. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a good question, Casey. It's there are all kinds of ways of doing that. We have Ollie Richardson, who is running the marathon for the first time. He's a coach and teacher at Newport High School. And so he's taking this on, and he's chosen some kind of training plan to follow that will help him, be able to finish. We had a kid one time who was working at the mill. He was an intern at the mill, and he was helping at the expo, and he said, gosh, I really want to have one of those marathon jackets, but I don't want it unless I do the marathon. And he said, I'm going to sign up. And so he did. And the kid, he was a young man, 21 or so. But anyway, he decided to do it. He ran it. He finished it. He suffered for the next several weeks because he was really sore, and his training wasn't really ready to do a marathon, but he wanted to do it. He did do it, and it was good. We have people that are wheelchairs. We haven't had any wheelchair people in the last couple years, but we do have that. We do have and have had people participate. We have a lot of people, well, not a lot, I don't know. We have, this year so far, we have 17 walkers that are going to walk it. We've had as many as 30 that have walked it. So I guess to answer your question, Casey, anybody can do it. They just need to be willing to get out there and put one foot in front of the other. We also have a half marathon. So if they don't want to do the full marathon, they can do 13.1 miles and be able to be part of the event.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, Commissioner Chuck.
So, Tom, thank you for that memory. I actually remember Paul.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of mine, and I think someone said they had never seen someone do something so unwise so well.
Yep.
And I'd just like to thank you for putting on the event for so long. It's a great opportunity for local students to help. As volunteer, my son did it for many years, and to teach them what it's like to volunteer for your community and to support your team. My wife participated twice. I had a friend come up 3 times, and his wife do the half marathon, and they've always had a great time coming up here. And I'm just glad that we can continue to support it and that the event still continues to go on. So thank you.
Thank you, Walter. That's a good point. Like with all the kids involved at the aid stations that are supporting these runners, they really get a good vision of an adult athlete. They get to see people that are being healthy and strong, even as they get into their 70s and 80s. We had Eb Engelman, who's done the marathon many times, and he's in his 80s, and he no longer can run the marathon, but he walks the half. So I think that you're right. It's really a good influence on him.
Chair Hall,
Yes, Commissioner Miller.
just one thing while we've got Tom. Tom, for our volunteers, who's the one primary contact going into this weekend that can make sense of it all?
Well, Mike Kavanaugh is our volunteer coordinator. He's, our department or our head park and rec
Okay.
guy. And he monitors over 100 volunteers. And I get that question from people that are coming in, that are flying in from somewhere else in the country. And their spouse may be running it and they want to do something to support. And so I put them in touch with Mike, and Mike
Okay.
finds a place for them. So he would be the one to contact. Or if you contacted me, I would then just forward it on to Mike.
Okay, well, I'm driving a bus this weekend, so I just don't know where to start. But it's on my list, so I'll be
Well,
there.
that I can talk to you about personally. So whenever you're ready, just contact me and I can tell you about the bus and how that works. And I really appreciate that, Casey, because you're volunteering for probably some team.
Yes, for the Newport NICA student mountain biking team.
Yeah, yeah, good. That's awesome. So we do, we give money to all the teams that participate, and that keeps them from going out and having to sell cookies or other kinds of things.
Well, we'll see you this weekend then.
All righty.
Okay, thank you very much. Here's to another great event.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We move up now to discussion and information item A. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, we are at the 1 hour mark, a little past, and I promised we would take a 5-minute recess. Oh, wait a minute. No. Let's wait till 11. Boy, I'm flashing back to years ago when we started at 9:30. Okay, now, folks, sorry about that, folks. Doll disposal rate review increase. Come on up. Introduce yourself and take it away.
Chair Hall, Commissioners, my name is Dave Larmuth. I'm the, well, I got a bunch. I'm the outreach manager today for Doll Disposal Service. And we've got a little presentation that I don't know if you can see on your, oh, there you go. So this is a garbage truck. It's also a recycling truck or our compostables truck. All of our collection vehicles are the same style. They're not all the same brand, but the concept is the same. That big arm comes out and tips the carts into the hopper that you see there. Next slide is, that's a drop box truck. We call it a drop box truck because we drop boxes off with it. That's what we're going to try and cover here today. So next is some statistics. I did want to report that for the Juneau project last year, we delivered 7,000 tons, mostly from local sources, and Juneau has estimated about 50% recovery on that. We did receive notice that Juneau is going to have a status change, and they'll no longer be accepting our waste on a daily basis. Our waste will now all be delivered to Coffin Butte. This has no impact on our collection expenses or the customer rates. That was kept separate from everything else on purpose for that reason. If you have any questions about the Juneau project itself, Andrea Formo from GP is here in the audience. If you have anything, I can't speak to any details of what their plans are. Next. Okay, so we did a lot of things this year. I mean, one of our big events was the Easter egg hunt in Toledo, and the way we've described it is 6,000 eggs, 3 hours of setup, 5 minutes of chaos. And I did want to point out that while we are happy to support our variety of community events and organizations, the donations that we make are all subtracted out of the operating ratio calculations. We've gotten some questions about that from customers, making, I guess, the conclusion that we're giving away, their money and we should not. So technically, we're giving away Zach Dahl's money. Okay, next slide is, we do a reviewed financial statement every year. This is an independent CPA that reviews our books. And the important thing is he confirms they align with the generally accepted accounting principles. Next slide. Yeah, that is the next slide. Okay, so this is our 2024 actual results for our Lincoln County operations. Should point out that our costs are allocated to the county and then each city we serve. using three factors: weight, customer count, and route hours, which you calculate basically by taking the average route time divided by the number of customers on that route from each jurisdiction. And I wanted to point out the franchise fees of 85,000 are included in the operations expense on that slide. Next slide, please. So this is the projected rate year. This goes from July 1st of this year through June 30th of the following year. You can see the rate of return without an adjustment would be 5.3%. And we'll get into a little bit of what drives that in a moment. Next slide, please. So our contract is written around something called the operating ratio. This is a formula, and I mentioned the donations earlier. That's one of the examples of unallowed expenses. So allowable expenses are things that by the contract are appropriate to include in this calculation. The operating ratio range is 85% to 91%. Typically, when we project to be outside the range, we would reset to the target of 88%. We had a discussion internally, and due to the state of the economy and some other factors, we proposed a smaller adjustment that would get us just back into the range instead of the full amount, and that's why it is at 5.52%. It would have been just over 9%, I believe, without that change. We can talk more about any of these specifics issues if you have questions. The fuel projections have been difficult for us. The prices have been up and down. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So we did project high for that, and we hope to come in under where we projected on that. And you've probably heard a lot about the Recycling Modernization Act, and there are some funds that may be available to us, but between the uncertainty of the amounts and the timing of that, we haven't included any of them in our projections. But you will get a full report at the end of the calendar year once we know what money has actually come into the system. So next question, next slide, please. So this is what happens when you do a PowerPoint and don't read the PDF. So the increase to our most popular service level is $2.30 a month. That includes 35-gallon garbage cart weekly with every other week recycling, and then on the opposite week, every other week for compostables. And if I can translate that from its original Klingon, I think it says, by using our recycling and compostables program, customers may be able to reduce their bill by changing cart size or frequency. We offer 3 sizes of carts: 35-gallon, 65-gallon, and 95-gallon. We offer 4 frequencies for the trash collection: weekly, every other week, once a month, and on call, which is, again, we only come when you call us. I believe that's all I have prepared, but I'm happy to take any questions if you have some.
Thank you, Dave. Commissioner Chuck, I'll let you lead off.
Where do you see your highest area of increase in the upcoming year?
In terms of
For
expense?
costs. Yeah,
or-
and expenses. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm not sure I have that prioritized that way, but usually it is personnel just because it's such a large portion of our costs.
Okay, anything else?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Hall. Dave, good to see you. Looking forward to the Recycling Modernization Act. Any sense of when you'll begin doing the outreach on that, or kind of a ballpark window?
Commissioner Miller, that is a good question. I wish I had better information. We know that the program starts officially on July 1st.
Okay.
So there won't be any statewide outreach until then. On that date, the state level outreach, which will be on websites and television and radio and all over, will be very general. I believe their message line is something like change is coming. And the reason for that is the programs will be rolling out at different times across the state. Some of the programs are rolling out by region, in which case we are lumped in with Eugene. So when Eugene changes, we'll change for those programs. For other programs, it's based on community size. Unfortunately, between the size of our communities and the fact that we already have a full and stable program, we're sort of at the back of the line for some of the changes. The priority would go to cities over 4,000 who don't have a collection program and want to add one. So we're near the back of the line for the programs that are based on population.
Dave, just a question on that. If we get this right, not only as Lincoln County, but the state, don't we stand to really have more resilience out of our landfills ultimately if we work real hard on this and improve our responsibility towards how we recycle?
Yes, Commissioner, I think that's one of the main points of the program and of the changes that are being made statewide is to get everybody following the same program, diverting as much material as possible, and keeping as much material out of the landfills as possible, while also confirming that materials are going to what they've called responsible end markets, where we know what's happening to material, and we know it's not just being landfilled or burned in a foreign country.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all the haulers and your work on this. Appreciate it.
Council Yule, what would our next step be, bringing this back for a decision item on the 21st of May?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. Any guidance from my fellow commissioners, or are you ready to look at this on the 21st?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm comfortable with that.
great.
Thank you, Chair.
See you
See you
back
then.
here
Thank you.
then. Thompson Sanitary, come on up, gentlemen.
Good morning. Walter Budzik, Controller, Thompson Sanitary.
And I'm Rob Thompson from Thompson Sanitary, President. Thanks for having us.
Good to have you here again.
So our presentation is going to be remarkably similar to Dave's presentation. As you probably know, we're governed by the same franchise agreement, or at least relatively close to the same franchise agreement. So same operating ratio applies, same application process applies, approval process applies, all of those kinds of things are all the same. So we'll run through our slides real quick as well. So in 2024, we collected over 13,700 tons of trash. The county itself is about 10% of our overall operation. So that.
When you say county unincorporated,
Correct.
county, right?
Right,
Okay,
right.
thank you.
We collect trash and recycling in the city of Newport and a portion of the unincorporated county. So our piece of the county is about 10% of that number. And then 1,700 tons of commingled recycling and 1,800 tons of compostables this last year, which is down a little from prior years. So, 2024's outreach, we try to be as present in the community as we possibly can. It's one of the benefits of having a franchised hauler is that we get to be part of the community that we serve. So all of those things we participated in this past year, and it's one of the joys of being part of the process, I think. In 2024, we, just like Dave said, we have a CPA that reviews our financials on an annual basis and makes sure that we conform with GAAP. In 2024, we took in $762,000 in revenue, paid out $347,000 in labor, $372,000 in operational expenses, which includes disposal and all other operational expenses, $42K in admin, leaving $1,000 of income. So we'll talk about why that is in the upcoming slides, but it was a rough year for us in the county. As Dave said, we are governed by an operating ratio, which is written net revenues divided by allowable expenses, target of 85 to 91. So as one might expect, our operating ratio was quite high this year. So in theory, 100% operating ratio would mean that all of the money that you took in revenue, you spent on expenses and you made nothing. So our operating ratio at this point is 99.4. So driving factors on why we had the results that we did. We're seeing downturn in revenues. That's really the largest issue that we have. We did have a major customer that changed their type of service with us that reduced revenue significantly. We're also seeing fewer hauls overall, less activity. It's hard to pin down why that is specifically. It may be that there are there's just less activity. We've also been talking a lot about non-franchise haulers coming in and hauling waste out of the county. We cannot say if that's a cause or not specifically. It may be. But I would like to say that Paul Seitz has been a champion of this issue for a while, and we really appreciate the work that he's put in and is going to continue to put in and try to combat that potential issue. The other major driver here is equipment acquisition. So we've seen the cost of a truck go from about $260,000 in 2020 to $390,000 in 2025. We also had a hard time getting them. So now we're getting more than one in 1 year, which is sort of a catch-up as far as the availability of trucks is concerned. So that pushes that equipment acquisition cost up. It's also, money is also more expensive right now than it was in years past. So that all figures in to the cost of getting the trucks that we need. And as always, labor and disposal are our largest cost factors. So for our rate calculation this year, we start with a comprehensive line-by-line projection of the expenses that we anticipate in the next 12 months, July to June. Our projected increase in expenses is actually relatively mild as far as the numbers are concerned, only 26,000 in expenses, so 3.4% overall. However, without a rate increase, we are outside of the 85 to 91% range. We're at 98.1%. And so when this occurs, the franchise language states that we reset to a target operating ratio of 88%. That adjustment is 11.1 this year. And will take questions if you have them.
Commissioner Chuck.
Okay. Well, you had answered quite a few of my questions. So my concern would be with the 11% increase that, do you see that the demands for your service would go down even farther, or people would further modify their services?
Yeah, yes. So we, I think what you're talking about is migration. So yeah, that's definitely a concern. And I think we're starting to see some of that. I think what I'm more concerned about is people dumping in the woods, because as costs go up, that's what people tend to do. But yeah, I think it's definitely a concern. We try to combat that as much as we can through education and helping people understand why the costs are what they are. We try to be very transparent in what our numbers are and truthful. And generally, when people, I think, understand where our costs really are, then those kinds of people understand a little bit better. Maybe the migration doesn't happen quite as much.
Okay. I have a couple other questions.
Go
but
ahead.
if
Why don't you?
Commissioner Miller
No,
wants to
no,
go. Okay.
Why don't you go ahead
I'm
with
gonna make
yours
sure
and
he
then
gives it a
we'll go
chance.
to Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, so I was at your city of Newport and, 599 for them. So what's their overall increase between the two would be if you average it out? I know you're trying to catch up with,
Oh, wow. So, so if I did an aggregate increase, knowing that city of Newport is 90% of the revenue and county is 10% of the revenue, you're probably at about 6.5 overall,
okay,
maybe 7, something like that. I guess that's how I would say the math is going to work.
okay. And my concern would be next year when you can do the CPI. My concern would be another increase, another double-digit increase. And
I
see
agree.
the same migration, and so I would just, that's one of my concerns right now.
Agree.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for your canned cancer. I've lost some people to cancer, and I appreciate you folks doing that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else now?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, just always appreciate the information. Good to see you, gentlemen. You bring us, transparent documentation, very forthcoming with what's going on out there in your industry. And I think one of the things I was impressed with learning about the Recycling Modernization Act is how much you guys are really batting for us at the state level to really be progressive in waste management. I noticed that there was a House bill that's going to create a task force, I guess, to look into just generally how we manage the Coffin Butte landfill situation. Is that something too that you guys collaborate with Paul Seitz and kind of monitoring that activity? And I would say just please make sure you let us know how we can advocate for you at the commission level or at the state level as you need us to. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Miller, and it is a topic that we keep very close track of. We do believe in the responsibility of our own waste. We do haul to that landfill in Benton County, and we do encourage the Planning Commission in Benton County to take that responsibility so that we can keep an extremely close eye on the landfill and its management with partnership through Republic Service. So I certainly do not want to just push that off to someone else that would then have to take care of our waste. We're not quite there yet to be zero waste, right? The technology we're just not there. I would love it if we were, but we need a responsible landfill and we need it to be as close to us as possible to keep our costs under control. So thank you for that offer and thank you for driving the bus on the marathon weekend. I coordinated with Doug and Matt Upton-Kelder on that. So that's where the bus is coming from, and I'll be volunteering as well. So
Well, is it going to be a bus or a shuttle? I'm not sure. I'll figure it out probably, right?
it is a sweet unit. You're going to love it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. And this will also come back before us in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
And at this point, we are at 11 o'clock, so I'm going to take a 5-minute recess. Reconvene, please. Thank you. Mr. Lip, are you ready to resume? All right, at 11:04, I'm reconvening this meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. And the next agenda item is the Northwest Oregon Works Update. Heather D. Sark. Good morning. Haven't seen you in a while. Well, so please, for the record, introduce yourself and who you're representing.
Of course. First, thank you, Claire Hall and Commissioners Chuck and Miller. Thank you so much for having me today to talk about Northwest Oregon Works, what we are, who we are, and why we're the best kept secret, I believe. So Northwest Oregon Works is a local workforce development board. We serve Columbia, Clatsop, Tillamook, Lincoln, and Benton counties. And I'm going to take you through, next slide, please. We're going to talk about what your local board is, the impacts of the WIOA, which is the federal act through the Department of Labor, where we get our funding, the youth funds that we've spent in Lincoln County, some success stories, our behavioral health training presence in Lincoln County, and our maritime impacts. Next slide, please. That's okay. So I won't go into all of these. I don't know how much time I have, but I don't want to also take up too much time. But the federal workforce, the local workforce development boards across the state are funded through federal funds, state funds, local, and because we are 501c3s, we can also apply for philanthropic funds and private sector funding. There are 9 local boards across the state. I'm going to show you a map in a second. There are a minimum of 19 board members that can be on each board, and that's because there are very specific requirements for who can sit on a board. 51% have to be business, and then 20% have to be labor, and then the other seats are taken up by employment department, higher education, economic development. And the purpose for this is that the act itself wants these services to be available locally. They don't want people in Salem telling the coast how they should be investing their workforce dollars, or Southern Oregon, or those kinds of things. Our services are actually delivered through the WorkSource centers. There are 38 of them across the state. 2 of them are here in Lincoln County for our region, Lincoln City and Newport. And it is through those WorkSource centers that our dollars flow from the feds to the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, to the local boards, and then out into the community through community-based organizations and local partners, where the funding and the training activities and the service delivery takes place in those WorkSource centers. And the idea is to get a qualified, skilled, trained workforce, both for job seekers and businesses. Next slide, please. So there are several mandated partners: the Bureau of Labor and Industries, the Employment Department, Higher Education Coordinating Commission covers all of those programs, the Department of Human Services, and the Commission for the Blind, as well as the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Those are all mandated partners under the Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act. So we're required to work with them, have referral systems in place, and so that folks can come into those WorkSource centers and have a one-stop shop for everything that they need for their lives, to get their lives on track. Next slide, please. Here's the map. So you can see we are the upper blue sea hugging the state. So we are closely in contact with Washington and Multnomah counties up in the north, and we are down in Benton County, share a community college with Lynn Benton Community College, so Lynn County. So we do a lot of collaborative work with the boards that are around us, and the 9 local boards all form a state association called the Oregon Workforce Partnership, of which I currently serve as the chair. And so we work together very carefully to try to craft legislative messaging and to advocate for the workforce development system, the local public workforce system, and how we can bring funds into it, because the federal dollars have been on a decline now for the last 20 years, and they continue to decline, and we anticipate a deeper decline with the current administration. So that's the landscape. Next slide, please. So a lot of words, I won't go through them all, but what local boards do, you'll see where on the first list on the left, there, it doesn't say training. So training is not a part of what workforce boards do. We contract those services out. We're in charge of a little more high-level stuff like coordinating and convening partners, doing research, keeping our eye on the labor market industry, and doing community engagement, continuous improvement, tracking, reporting. We have to monitor and all of those things. And we also engage in a lot of conversation about best practices and innovations. We keep track of other associations and local boards across the country and participate in a lot of national conferences. In fact, one's happening right now in Virginia Beach, where a lot of my staff and staff across the state are attending, so, and presenting. Next slide. So this is just a quick snapshot. We want to get down to the nitty gritty. We've spent about $46,000 in Lincoln County from July 1st, 2024. We run on a July 1 to June 30 calendar year. And just to break that out a little bit, you'll see all of those acronyms that are horrible. But so WIOA, ITA is classroom training. So OJT is on the job training. And those are different funding sources. So we had ARPA funds from during the pandemic. We get some state funds called WorkX funds. And so those are the numbers. And those don't look like big numbers, but this is just Lincoln County, which is a fairly rural county. And the 46,620 is a fairly big impact. And that's just from the funding streams you see under the training numbers. I'll get to another slide where you'll see a lot more investment. Next slide, please. So here's our youth funding. We have been really successful. We were able to receive a BOLI grant through the Future Ready Oregon. BOLI had a piece of the pie, and we were able to receive some BOLI funding for our youth programs. We've received several Youth Development Oregon grants for reconnection and wraparound services and convening purposes. OYEP funds have been invested in Lincoln County youth. Future Ready Oregon, we were able to receive we were awarded a Workforce Ready Round 3 grant for $1 million, which was great. And you can see that we're putting about 120,000 of that through Lincoln County, with the community college, with the school system, with the STEM hubs and the CTE programs in the county. So very well invested in Lincoln County. Next slide, please. These are a couple of success stories. I apologize for the format. I would normally not give a big, huge chunk of narrative in a PowerPoint presentation, but hopefully these slides will be available if anybody wants to see them. But these are just some demonstrations of real people who, of course, we got permission to use their names, went through the WorkSource system, and were registered into the offices, assessed by the talent development specialists, determined to want to go into CDL training. We work closely, Oregon Coast Community College works closely with Tillamook Bay Community College because they have a great simulator up there. And so we're able to put and this is just two examples of many, many examples of success stories that have come out of Lincoln County with our investments. Next slide, please. Behavioral health. So I'm proud to say that Northwest Oregon Works was the first entity in the state to stand up a registered apprenticeship for behavioral health. So certified alcohol and drug counselor, behavioral health registered apprenticeship program. We recently were able to expand that to QMHA, which is qualified mental health associate. So we've got those under our belt. We're very excited. They're very, very successful. We have apprentices at levels 1, 2, and 3 for the certified alcohol and drug counselor. I ran and gave the ladies who presented earlier on behavioral health my business cards so that they can be aware that we are here. We do have apprentices currently with Lincoln County Mental Health, which is great. They are registered training agents, as well as with Reconnections Counseling here in Lincoln County. So we've had great success with that program here. It's supported primarily in Lincoln and Benton counties through IHN, which is a Samaritan Health CCO. So we're doing so well that they have continued to write us into their budget, which is a wonderful thing in the grant-funded world to be able to count on funding for a successful program. Next slide, please. Here's our biggest investments. So we were able to, through Senate Bill 867, that called for a maritime task force to be appointed by the governor. That task force then created a report that came out that said Lincoln County and Clatsop County were the two highest numbers of job openings and job growth in the maritime industry, along with Coos County, Multnomah County, Morrow County. But Lincoln County and Clatsop County were the high numbers. And so when the Senate Bill 15, which was it, 3410, sorry, House Bill 3410, there was a portion of that for $2 million for maritime funding. The state took that report and said, we're going to allocate these funds based on the numbers that came out of that report. And since Lincoln County and Benton County did so well, Northwest Oregon Works got the lion's share of those dollars. We got about $850,000. And 250,000 of that has gone into Lincoln County through the Oregon Coast Community College. You can see we've helped to help them hire a welding instructor to increase the capacity of their students. We've also funded a new instructor for their aquarium science and welding programs. We funded Uni Sea Urchin, which is a fantastic entrepreneurial company that has a space in Newport, I think off the Equina Bay. Anyway, I'm not the expert on this program. Our person, Lynn Tamburello, is, but I can tell you that I approve each of these, and then a big check is presented, and we're trying to get noticed here. So the Newport Fisherman Wives for $44,000 for retaining skilled workers and safety gear so that they can be safe on the water. And Local Ocean Seafood is trying to do it zero waste, 100% utilization on their fishing products. And so we helped with $40,000 to hire a business development manager who can expand those operations and to create 8 full-time jobs. So the maritime funds have been extremely successful, heavily invested in Lincoln County, and we understand at this point in time that the funds are in the governor's recommended budget at the current service level. So we anticipate that to be an ongoing funding source that we can continue to invest. Next slide, please. These are all of the entities, and there are some missing from this list, but we try to have as many relationships as possible in the county. I think partnerships are the lifeblood of any successful organization, where you can pick up the phone and say, we're applying for this grant, can we get a letter of support? Or you're applying for a grant, can we provide you a letter of support? And it's just a really great and overwhelming feeling to know that you have so many partnerships across the county. And I personally live in Lincoln County, so I try not to be biased in my work, but I can't really help it. So I'm just happy to be a Lincoln County resident. Next slide, please. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know I flew through that and for the sake of time, but happy to answer questions.
Great. Commissioner Miller, I'll let you lead off.
Oh, thank you, Chair Hall. Good to see you, Heather. Now, I am up at the Cultural Center, and tonight there's going to be a pitch event, that youth entrepreneurial pitch event. I don't know, Heather, if you're going to make it up for that tonight, but that's always a fascinating thing to watch, to see how the youth are, fitting into to our future workforce, whether it's, through their own business ideas. The work at the Small Business Development Center, which you support too, I know is great. Heather, how we develop and customize workforce solutions in our communities regionally. You mentioned all these collaborations and funding, and it all, works together. Can you talk just a little bit about that letter of support for House Bill 3669, just briefly, and why that was important? We sent that letter of support.
You did, and thank you, Commissioner, for your support. We got a signature from all of the commissioners who sit on the consortium board for Northwest Oregon Works. Unfortunately, I bring bad news today that bill was killed.
Mm,
It was unfortunate. However, we are not done fighting. So the Oregon Workforce Partnership is now in the process of advocating to have at least some of the funds put in the HEC's annual budget, the Higher Education Coordinating Commission. So the reason that bill was so important is Future Ready Oregon handed down $35 million to the local boards. And we had very stringent requirements and performance goals. And we met or exceeded every single goal, and except for the number to be served, which is still in process. So, so we were really happy with the outcome of those funds, and the half of the funds that came out in that Future Ready Oregon bill were ARPA funds and half were general funds. So the ARPA funds are gone, but the general funds still could be a possible revenue source for us, and especially right now with the large amount of layoffs that we're seeing across the country, we believe that the dislocated worker program is going to be critical. And that dislocated workers, whether they be federal or as a result of other layoffs, that they'll be looking for services. They'll be looking for, resume writing and interview skills, and people who haven't had to worry about their resume for, 15 years might have to be doing that now. So we think it's critical that we still support and advocate for that. And I may be coming to you, Commissioner, as a member of our consortium board, asking for additional advocacy in some form or fashion. So thank you.
thank you, Heather. Yeah, we're absolutely here to support you. And that federal impact, I know it's hard to pin down, and I'm glad that the attention to detail there is to help us all pivot where we need to. So thank you.
Commissioner Chuck.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And I saw that you get some federal funds. Is it not looking very good for getting federal funds right now for your continuation program?
Well, thank you for the question. The federal funds that we get are through the Department of Labor, and the act itself has been up for reauthorization forever, and there hasn't been something that's been put forth that's been accepted. So now the possibility of that just happening on a regular cycle is no longer. So we are at the mercy of the current administration, who tends to cut programs that are socially sensitive, I'll just say. So a lot of times, and for the most part, workforce development funding has been a bipartisan issue because everyone thinks that we should have a skilled workforce in the United States. So we're just unsure at this point. But yes, they have been in decline in general for decades. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I just want to thank you for allowing the ability to get training and stay in the community. I think we need to make sure that we give our youth as much opportunity to get into the workforce here as possible and to stay in our community. They are the backbone. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thanks for a great presentation.
You bet.
And we'll see you again. Don't be a stranger.
I'll be back.
Okay. And now our next item is an update on the Lincoln County Winter Shelter Program. And Jane and Chantel and
Hi, good morning. For the record, my name is Jane Romero. I work as the Director of Lincoln County Health and Human Services. As you know, we've just wrapped up our second season of our emergency winter shelter season, and we are already preparing for the next season. We have made presentations so far in Lincoln City, at Newport, and in Depot Bay. And we wanted to provide the same presentation here, and especially in light of the fact that you very generously fund one of the positions associated with the shelter. So the story really belongs to the person to the right of me, and I'm going to turn it over to them to introduce themselves.
So as for the record, I'm Chantel Estes. I'm the program manager and I run the 2 winter shelters.
I'm Dr. Paul Calderon. I provide voluntary medical services at the shelter.
So first, we just want to thank you again, as Jane mentioned, for providing the opportunity to get our unhoused folks off the street. Without the support of all of you and our providers, this success that we've had this year would not have been possible. So thank you for that. Next slide, please. So as you'll see here, the shelter started in 2023, and we have expanded into 4 essential service areas throughout this season. We believe in a hand up, not a handout, because it really paves the way to real progress with each one of these implemented services that we've been able to expand. Navigation, medical outreach, we have a robust training program, and also a big staff development. We think that the shelter has been a pathway in order to achieve long-term careers, and I'll go into that a little deeper on the next slide. So we also were able to open up our Lincoln City location, and even though we have 2 shelters here in the county, we believe in providing dignity, safety, and a path forward for all, and they mirror each other, so the programs are identical. If someone was to come to Newport or Lincoln City, they would be able to see the same services and compassion and sometimes staff. And so next slide, please. So this is a real story, a real person, and it goes to show you that without the shelter, we would have more of these situations. And I felt so compelled that I had to go check and see if he had passed away. And thank goodness he had not, but this is in our backyard. And this was all off of our off season. So it was not during our season, but our mission is to prevent this, is to save lives one night at a time by offering warmth, protection, and pathway to stability. And in 2022, the year before the shelter had opened, 10 people had passed away on the street. In 2023, when the shelter opened, we had 0 deaths. And our goals were met again by having no one die on the streets this season. So by offering a safe, compassionate, and accessible shelter for individuals experiencing homelessness, we're able to provide the resources, opportunities, and hope for people who want to get off the streets. And so this is a good example of how the shelter has extremely saved lives from the street. Slide, please. And here's our mission in action. Here's our first quarterly team meeting. There in the right corner, and then up top is one of our first nights at the shelter. We did use the church facility for the first 4 months, and I'll go into a little deeper in that as we go. So we offer shelter and beds, medical care, personal care, showers, hygiene, meals, pet support, navigation support, housing referrals, safety and emergency support, and staff and volunteer development. Next slide, please. So this season, we were able to see 242 unique individuals, and the percentage, 45% were over the age of 50, with the oldest at 83. Let me repeat that. The oldest at 83. That was a very difficult situation, and sad that we're seeing more of our elderly go through the shelter process. We did see 151 males, so you could see the percentages. 184 were white. The concern is 10% were veterans. It's still way too high. We had 11% last season, so 10%, we dropped it by 1, but we need to work harder to get that decreased. Next slide, please. So who is our communities? We support the whole county of Lincoln County. See, Lincoln City was the top provider in guests that we received. And like Jane said, we met with Depot Bay and Lincoln City in regards to the support to show them as well what their community has been progressing through with the shelter. Next slide, please. Here is what really has made a huge impact on being able to fill the gaps that we saw last season in all of the medical needs that were just tremendously sad that we couldn't do anything about it. And one of the things that we noticed is that our unhoused population really don't trust the medical field. And so we wanted to make sure we can incorporate some way to offer that gap. And we were very fortunate to be able to have gotten Dr. Caldwin here, volunteer physician, who will go into a little deeper into the medical program. But we did receive a grant from IHN in order to purchase all the equipment. It is a full clinic inside the shelter, and we are extremely proud of that. So Dr. Caldwin, if you would express a little bit about the program.
Sure. I don't know if Mr. Lip will remember, but I contacted him after I saw an article in the paper about the shelter last year, um, thinking about starting a medical presence. So I called him because he was named in the article, and he pointed me to Jane Romero of HHS, and we had a discussion about what were the objectives of having a medical presence in the shelters. And it was mainly twofold, very direct. One, we're trying to keep as many people from being shipped to the emergency room as possible for obvious reasons, mainly cost. And secondly, for building that trust and getting people reconnected with the primary care clinics, both here in Lincoln County and potentially in Waldport. So I think we've made a lot of progress just in this first season in those two objectives. What I've learned, well, my background is in internal medicine and immunologic diseases, so I'm being sort of retooled for the fundamentals that apply to this setting. And I've been reminded by Chantel a number of times that, this you have to breach the barrier of trust, and that's become, very evident in seeing guests at the shelter. And you can watch the wall melt away when you've reached that barrier, and it does, to my relative surprise, that kind of helps initiate trust in all of the systems that are attached to the shelters, particularly the navigation, getting people into housing, and gets them reconnected with primary care, with behavioral health, mental health, substance abuse management. So the connections, the network is being built, and we plan to deepen that relationship going forward next year.
Can I ask you, what kind of challenges health challenges and problems you saw most frequently with guests this year?
Let me just address your question with a couple of answers. One is case mix. When I came in, I wasn't sure what I was going to be dealing with. And, my self-education online in shelter and street medicine bears up. We tagged, I think, 42 discrete codable diagnoses during this last season through the 58 medical visits that we saw. And they're mostly dermatologic problems, as expected, anything from trench foot to a lot of skin picking disease, which is it's enhanced in the setting of mental illness and methamphetamine use, where skin gets broken down through self-inflicted wounds mainly. So a lot of that. We saw a lot of musculoskeletal problems, injuries, ankle injuries, foot injuries, shoulder injuries from hauling around baggage, literally. A lot of headaches, a lot of anxiety, infections, respiratory, GI infections. So typical things you'd expect to see in primary care on an acute basis, mainly in sort of an urgent care situation. We did send a couple of people to the ER when they were in an extremist sort of position. The other part of your question is, what did we see? What did we expect?
Yeah.
And
I
think that's the depth and breadth of what I would expected. And we've sort of tooled up. We've just learned in the doing, and now we've got our stocks more complete and our equipment together, and I think we can be more expeditious and efficient going forward.
Well, great. I didn't mean to bring your presentation to a complete halt.
Oh, that's okay. I can just pick up whenever. I'm very flexible there.
Okay.
So as Dr. Mentioned, it just goes to show you that medical is the foundation stability to get people started on the path of success. So here's our navigation in action. Here's a couple of our teammates. You know, statistically, emergency winter shelters only house about 1% of their guests. We are at 17%, which is leading the pack. And that is because of all of the different essential areas that are needed in order to get someone successful. So we were able to house 39 guests in either transitional or permanent housing. We also do a warm handoff in order for our families to be in a safe environment. We immediately get them into a hotel, and then we ensure a smooth, supportive path toward long-term stability by trusting our family service providers. Next slide. So our crisis and response community referrals, we had 24 officer escorts. That means that 24 officers did not have to walk away by leaving somebody on the street. They were able to bring them to the shelter at any time of our open hour from 6 to 7 a.m. And that is a wonderful support that the shelter is offering because it is difficult to walk away from people on the street. So we had 25 ER transports where we were able to go pick up our unhoused population when they were discharged from the hospital. And 125 different referrals came from jail, hospital, law enforcement when others were released. We had 48 referrals or healthcare from behavioral health and substance, and we had 0 calls from fire department. As I mentioned earlier, we were borrowing property from the church for the first few months, and that property is a big piece of property in order to maintain safety and security. And we did have to call for backup law enforcement 3 different times. We had 5 ambulance calls, and I had 18 calls after midnight. Last year, we had 54 to me, so I am decreasing that. And then we had 0 after-hour behavioral health crisis because of our robust training program that we do within. Next slide. Here is one of my favorite pictures. Linda here is 68. When she first came to us, she was withdrawn and absolutely no interest in getting to know anybody. We were able to show consistent compassion and care, which built her trust, and able to stabilize her enough to see Dr. Caldwin here, which then in turn was able to get her into navigation services. And it just goes to show you that compassion changes lives, but it starts medically. They need to be stable in order to continue the path to stabilization. Here's our mother and daughter team. These 2 started actually within the shelter. They worked their way out through getting different jobs and find stable housing. And she never thought she would ever be able to buy a brand new car. And it was just an amazing story that she was able to go from street to stability. So it just is a resilience when we show support and give second chances. This gentleman here and his baby Daisy arrived in critical condition after living on the streets, and he had severe medical needs. However, he was more worried about Daisy than himself. And so we were able to get him into Dr. Caldwin, which stabilized him in order to continue to move through the process. And we saw 42 animals and 50 animals with over 320 stays. We were able to also get some funds for vet exams and work with Dr. Caldwin in getting emotional support letters. Those are critical in order to get folks into different housing facilities. And so it just shows that healing happens with dignity, care, and compassion for people, but we can't forget about their pets. It's very important that they completely are going along with the process in order to move forward as well. Okay. So like I mentioned, I believe in a robust training program. If our staff knows what to expect, they're more confident in handling things. And so we were able to train 30 volunteers and staff in de-escalation, trauma-informed care. We added human trafficking awareness. One of the things that comes through the shelters is possibly the situation of being aware of what that looks like. Bloodborne pathogen, mental health first aid by Sarah Hurd that was here earlier, and then a harm reduction with Jesse, who was also here. We do live response drills. I believe in seeing how staff can grow. And so we took our simulation participants here and went in and just like everybody else would go into the process, and we were able to learn some things. We were able to show our staff in importance factors about this is reality. Do we judge? What do we do? The person over here on the right, you see that's makeup, that's not bruised. And I was able to get my son and his fiance to do this for me because no one has seen them before. And he's going into law enforcement. And so I figured this would be a perfect opportunity for him to learn some of those skills. But like I said, live drills, we are very thorough on those at the staff in the agency. So one of our really proud programs is, we are growing leaders from within. Not just are we saving lives from the street, but we're also building lives from within. And it's 9 staff now has transitioned into long-term careers. And it's important to remember that all of our staff have lived experience. And that is why they're good at what they do and the compassion that they can show. And so it is not just, like I said, a foundation for just housing folks, it's also a foundation for building lives. So what's our total impact? We had seen 242 as mentioned. 58 were medical clients, which if they weren't here to see the doctor, they would continue some of these medical conditions on the streets. We were able to get 2 shelters up, 9 transitioned into long-term careers. So it's just a really powerful season that we had by expanding our operations across 4 essential service areas. Again, is necessary in order to complete the stabilization process through navigation, medical, outreach, and training and team development. So it just demonstrates rapid growth and strengthens the capacity to serve our community. But the main thing that we wanted to go into it is that no one died on the street. And that is what we are most proud about. So where's our gaps? We're looking to increase and expand in our staff and volunteers, get medical support for our animals, transitional housing partnerships. We want to collaborate better with them, training and transportation support in order to fill the gap of those that need transported from different areas, services for older adults, medically vulnerable guests, and dental services, which is completely needed in our area. So that'll be my biggest, hardest goal to get this year. Okay. So basically, as Jane mentioned, we went around and talked to our municipalities, I can never say that word.
Municipalities.
To continue to support our work. And without all of the support, this definitely would not be as strong and healthy as it has been. And this is our next slide, is our last team meeting. We did do an escape room in order to, show the support and make sure everyone knows at the end of the season, we had plans for all of our staff, either different jobs that they went to. So we are building from within. So did I miss anything? No? So if there's any questions?
Commissioner Chuck, I'll let you lead off.
I just say thank you 3 days in a row. That's really good. I really appreciated what you did in front of the city of Newport. It looked like it was very well received. And, Doctor, thank you very much for volunteering your time. It's a great great and value asset to the community. So thank you for doing that.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes, thank you very much. Good to see everyone. Great presentation. I'll definitely pass some of this information on to Lincoln City Rotary today. My experience of the training offered by Chantel and the team was like just such an amazing experience. That operational approach to safety and compassion, it really was just so impressive, and even this presentation here, I think it just shows how much this program will modify and pivot and continue on. It's just such excellent work. And for our community that doubted this, I just think I'm just so grateful, and thank you for showing everyone that this can be done. Now, with these Lincoln City folks in mind, I just want to ask you, what is the main phone number? Is it Chantel? What's that first line of contact when folks have questions about the shelter? Where should I direct them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so we do have a phone number. That phone number is 541-270-1005. And
Okay.
if they're interested in volunteering or any donations, we will still be receiving those during the off season. And they can call Andrea at 541-272-9647. And anytime that anybody, like I said, for donations or volunteering, we will be out and about at different events. And we would love people to come up and just ask us questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the training, and I apologize, I didn't put the training to work, but it just showed me such another side to what you're doing that is critical, I think, for people to understand of just how much of, again, your operational protocol is just fantastic. It's impressive. It's impressive. And I think the more people that see that and understand it, they would be impressed as well. So keep up the good work. I know we all want to continue to support this effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Miller. Boy, you get me started, I could go a long time, and I think I'm probably going to get kind of emotional. So I'm just going to say thank you all. Thanks to everybody in the community who believed in this, who helped to make it happen. And I look forward to next year and even more good things happening and lives being saved. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have reports on the agenda. We are now up to public comment. Mr. Lip, could I ask you to bring me the sign-in sheet, please? Oh, okay. Well, commissioners, before we proceed, I would like to put out on the table for consideration and discussion a change in format for public comment. Now, Mrs. George has sat here very patiently for the last couple of hours, so I would suggest that this apply after her presentation. But I'd like us to seriously consider doing what a lot of counties and cities have done in recent months and limited public comment items to being directly related to items on the agenda for that day. Recently, we did this with the Oregon Housing Stability Council under advisement from the State Department of Justice. There is no statutory requirement to offer general public comment at a meeting. And also, people do have multiple avenues to contact us, and they use them regularly: email, phone, in-person meetings. But this meeting is really meant to be a forum to get the public's business done.
Yeah.
So, Commissioner Shuck, you were making notes. Any thoughts on that idea?
No, I think I value public comment, and we also need to be able to conduct our business at these meetings. But I just want to make sure that we maintain the ability for the public to contact us and provide me, and that we provide other means to communicate them, whether email, calling us. And I think we should also make sure that we get out in the community as much as possible so they can see us out there and talk to us face to face.
Absolutely. Commissioner Miller, any thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I think if you really want to, let's bring the policy back, I suspect. If we want to have a conversation around it, let's put in writing as much as possible what the criteria is. That way people know in advance. I think you're going to find me as somebody who's going to lean the other direction. I'm going to lean towards having as much open conversation as possible. How you would manage something like this and pre-screen it to make sure that subject matter just pertains to the topics on the agenda. I would say thematically it is in a direction I think is good for us, the community. However, that people who provide input can be thoughtful and targeted in what they're trying to accomplish, I think is something we need. We've talked a little bit before about how possibly we could tweak the form. But, you know, I really think it's something that if you want to do this, you know, we should really have a discussion around it.
Okay.
You know, and put it in perhaps in writing, you know, what the system might look like. That it's serious enough to maybe have a deeper conversation about it.
Okay, let's bring back something in writing for next week's, or the meeting 2 weeks from today, if that's agreeable to everybody. And we'll be able to consider that as a starting point for discussion. Is that
Yeah.
agreeable with
Sure.
you, Commissioner Miller? Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Commissioner Chuck? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, now we are at public comment, and Cynthia George is the one person who has signed up for today. So come on forward, please, and
So I understand you're doing this on my behalf, I'm sure. And I take it as a personal infringement upon my right to address my elected officials that I pay my tax dollars into. So I hear that a lot of the community is concerned about you, Claire, holding all the power of all these decisions. So I'm glad you brought home another violation of our rights. So I'm here in regards to, number one, supporting legislation that's out. We've got 44 bills that are before the state legislature. There's a Senate Bill 1154 that's going, it's in regards to water, the protection of water, the testing of water, and the control that is being violated in Lincoln County of our water resources. So I came upon a post of a clear cut. They clear cut the headwaters of the Olalla Creek, which is a salmon habitat restoration project that I actually helped work on. So, oh no, yeah, that's why I care. I actually helped the children plant every tree. We surveyed, we, did all we could. OSU, Mid-Coast Watershed, replaced bridges. They took the culverts out just so salmon can get through to the headwaters and the spawning grounds that the Forest Department and Lincoln County Planning Department and everybody decided to go ahead and clear cut. So if you've exposed the headwaters of an entire water system for a lot of homes, let alone a lot of wildlife, and that is a violation from what I understand of the forest practices rules. So they have been called. I'm also, I want the public to know that Juneau is closing. I just found that out from Andrea. So I'd like to know where all that economic development funds that we invested in the tax exemption and all that stuff that you gave them to put that thing in to pollute the ocean. And now that's closed down. So that no longer needs to be. And real estate agents in the planning commission. So we got a lot of LLCs that are running around purchasing up properties, getting really good deals, low cost. And then all of a sudden these properties are valued at extreme, you go in, you violate the lands, then the market value is 4 and 5 times it was in 2020. And it's all done under a secret LLC that slowly gets dissolved right after the land purchases go through. So yeah, Claire, you can go ahead and violate my rights to come before you, but somebody's going to be asking a lot of questions about this county. And it's about as crooked as that picture up there on the wall. So you might want to straighten it up too.
thank you. Anybody online for public comment? Do we have?
I don't hear so.
Okay. Then if there's nothing further to consider, we're adjourned.